Hello there, you beautiful people out there. I hope you are all doing well, and this video I thought it would be fun to talk about my coming out story because I have some hilarious, weird, fun, random stories that I don't think enough people have heard related to my coming out journey. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So you're going to these stories, I'm basically going to tell my coming out story, and there'll be a lot of mini stories sprinkled in between that are just gold, absolute gold, that I think more people should know about. So, get yourself a tea if you're in the mood for a drink, or a coffee depending on the time of the day, or just something, a drink, a snack. I have got some tea right here. I'm going to maybe slightly move away from the microphone to drink it because I don't know how people feel about drinking sounds. I know it's not for everyone, the food and drinking sounds. It's not something I like in the ASMR community. You do you, ASMR people, but I don't like food sounds. Sometimes drinking sounds, I think, can sound quite nice, but yes. Okay, let me put that down for a second. So I think to start this off, we need to start with, when did I know I liked girls? Or when did I start to have a feeling, maybe I was curious? Now, first I would say I started to have this when I was really young. I think when I was 9, 10, 11, 12 kind of region, where I became obsessed with everything LGBT. So basically, what was I obsessed with? So I can't remember how old I was when All the Things She Said came out by Tattoo, with the two girls kissing in the music video, but I was obsessed with that video. And Not Gonna Get Us. I really loved Tattoo, and when I got older, I really enjoyed that album and their other albums that they brought out. But yeah, at the time when that music video came out, I was just obsessed with it. I don't think I didn't have like a visceral reaction. It wasn't like, oh yeah, like I'm really attracted to those girls. It wasn't immediate. I mean, I was still very young, so it makes sense that I wasn't necessarily attracted to the girls and what I was seeing, but I was just very curious. And I also remember when I was very young, also kind of that period and early teens, that I was obsessed with LGBT storylines in TV shows. It was my crack, guys, honestly. I loved a good LGBT storyline. I mean, it didn't matter what language it was in, how bad the acting quality was. I needed my fix. So I remember, let's see if I can remember some of the ones I watched. There was, funnily enough, one of my Spanish friends, I told them that I knew, that I'd seen the show Física o Química. I'm probably butchering the pronunciation, but who was the storyline between? Was it David and somebody? I don't know. They're both pretty attractive, and it was fine for me to find them attractive at the time because I was also a teenager. So I'm not sure how old they were in the show. They were probably adults, but just to cover any bases, when I say, oh yeah, I thought they were really attractive, remember this is teen me. Teen Elise was like, oh. So that was one of them. And then, I told my Spanish friend about it, and it was quite funny because they actually knew someone in that TV show, but they were saying the acting was appalling. And that's the thing, is sometimes because of the language barrier, like I would just read subtitles, so sometimes, and because I was a teenager, I couldn't tell how poorly acted a certain show was. But yeah, that was one of the ones I liked to watch. There was also this German show, Verboten Liebe, Forbidden Love, and also, funnily enough, before moving to the Netherlands, I didn't realise, but a few years before moving, or in my teens, when I was in this phase, that I'd already heard Dutch and I listened to a Dutch show because I listened to Getijden, Slechte Tijden. which is Good Times, Bad Times. It's a terrible show, I'm sure most normal Dutch people will tell you. No offense to those who actually like that show. But I was obsessed with Lucas and somebody else, Edwin. And yeah, there were a few other ones as well, and I probably can't remember the name of. There was also a few, I think there was maybe like a Korean soap that I probably watched at a certain point. But yes, I was just, oh yeah, Skins, also British shows, yeah, Skins, Naomi and Emily. Yeah, it was just an obsession a little bit, where it's just straight storylines. They just stopped appealing to me. I thought, meh, so boring. So vanilla. Let me just get some more tea. It's not very weird to move to this side. I don't think it sounds that bad. So that was kind of my first. I don't know if I would have said back then I knew. I think looking back with hindsight, it seems like that might have been an indication. Although, funnily enough, I think I watched more gay storylines than lesbian storylines. But I did watch a few shows with lesbian storylines, or ones that were focused around lesbians. So, wait, what was the show that's about lesbians? The American one? Now I've forgotten what it's called. Never mind. Anyway, I did also watch lesbian storylines. And so that was my introduction to, LGBT stuff, culture. And then, so I went into, when I first realised that I might like girls, was when I was, how old was I? I was in boarding school, so I was 14, 15. I think I was 15. But let's get into the story. Okay, so I was at a boarding school, but for most of the time I wasn't in boarding school, if you see what I mean. I would just go to school there, but I would go home. But this happened to be a time when, I don't know, my mom was away, so I stayed for a weekend, I think, for a long weekend, maybe in boarding school. And there was this girl who was in the year below. Oh, and by the way, I went to an all-girls school. So, it was a strange time. It was a pretty horrible time, but I digress. Let's get into the story. So, in boarding school, there was a girl that I don't know if I realised I liked her immediately, but I think I was just kind of intrigued by her. She seemed to be very confident. She's definitely someone, I mean, we were both kids, but nowadays, I'm sure I don't feel like she's grown up into someone that I would like now, and vice versa. In boarding school, I wasn't staying in the same room as them. No, I was staying with a friend, I think. I can't remember what room I was staying in, but not super important. Anyway, all girls school, staying in boarding school. We were hanging out more, me and this girl, and yeah, she just seemed really quirky and fun, but also it was a little bit disturbing sometimes, the kind of conversations we had. It was really weird. Like, that was also a time when I was self-harming, because teenagers, and we do the darnest things. I don't do that anymore. That was more of a phase when I was a teenager, but I happened to have these like really big scars down my arm, and she would be asking me questions about it, and which I don't mind, it's fine. But especially at that time, maybe I was, I could have been more sensitive about the topic of self-harm. So, maybe it was a little bit insensitive to be asking a lot of questions about it, but she seemed to be curious and wasn't that sensitive around the subject, but I didn't seem to mind. And then at a certain point, she was joking around saying how I could self-harm her name into my skin. It was some kind of level of messed up, but I don't know. When you're 14, 15, or maybe even nowadays, when people say weird stuff, but because it's just the two of you and you haven't had an experience like it before, you start questioning what's normal and what's not normal. And you're like, is this conversation normal or not? It doesn't feel normal, but because it's just the two of us and I don't have anyone else to ask whether this is a normal conversation, I don't know anymore. You start doubting yourself. What is normal? I just don't know. So we were hanging out for a few days, and then we went to the park together. I can't remember if anyone else was there or if it was just the two of us, but we got talking about relationships, and I said I never had a first kiss before. And I can't remember how she reacted to it at the time, but we were just chatting for a little bit, and eventually we ended up going back to her room with her roommate, and who I was also actually friends with, and knew from the school I was at before then. And yeah, so we got back and we were just chilling on her bed together, like right next to each other, and then we ended up going under the covers, and then she put on the song My First Kiss, and I was so nervous because, we were just talking about this and I knew that it was a sign, and I was just like, holy shit. What am I supposed to do? I mean, kiss her, I guess, but I'm so nervous. This is 14, 15-year-old Elise who's never kissed anyone, who feels, awkward and fat and gross and not comfortable in my skin at all. But I was shaking so much. And then eventually, we were kissing. I probably wasn't any good. I mean, I really enjoyed it, and it was one of the most exhilarating moments of my life. To this day, it's probably still one of the top 5 exhilarating moments of my life. It would probably be number 1. Especially like when you're a teenager, you just have all these heightened emotions. So it was a really exciting time. Wait, I need to burp. Apologies for interrupting that story. I needed to burp. But yeah, so it was exhilarating. And yeah, I thought we were having more of a connection because we've been talking a lot the last few days. And you know what's the weird thing about this as well is that her roommate was in the same room when this was happening. She was just doing her work at the desk and she knew what was going on. We were under the covers, but you could probably hear us kissing or something. But so that felt pretty bizarre. And then the next day, I'm feeling kind of excited and nervous and wondering what's going to happen. But I remember we were hanging out, me, her, and her roommate. And then at some point, her roommate, I can't remember why, but I think she kissed me on the cheek or something. I don't know. But then she, like the girl that I kissed, she turns around to us and then she's like, lesbians. And I just didn't know how to react. I was so shocked. I didn't know what to say. I was like, okay, I guess we're never talking about what happened then, if that's how you feel. And it was pretty shocking for me, and I didn't know how I was supposed to react. I just knew we weren't going to talk about it and nothing could happen between us because she was just going to pretend it didn't happen. So that was my first experience, and I knew immediately after it happened that I liked girls. And in general, when I thought back about times that I've had with boys where it was like going on a few dates, you had a boyfriend that lasted like a few days or whatever, looking back on those moments with guys, I thought, I've not experienced the same thing at all. With guys, it just felt awkward. I didn't have that connection. But with this, I just knew instantly after kissing her, I like girls. So I felt pretty certain at this point. I was like, well, I'm a lesbian. That's it. End of story. And it felt pretty strange. I can't remember. I must have been pretty nervous to tell people, but I knew my friendship group, we would be cool about it. But I knew if it got out, other people at the school would be less chill because it was all-girls schools are a nightmare. People are bitchy. It's a really hostile environment. I didn't have a pleasant time. Maybe other people out there have had pleasant experiences at all-girl or all-boy schools, but I don't think they're very healthy. That's just my feeling, but yeah. I also find it funny because I think usually parents send their children to all-girl schools or all-boy schools to avoid the temptation of the opposite sex. Well, it did work. I didn't get with the opposite sex, but I think it just kind of ends up in people experimenting more, like I did. So eventually, yeah, I told my mom about it, and I was nervous to tell her, but she was pretty normal about it. I don't think I told her I was a lesbian, but I just told her what happened, and she seemed to be fine with it and was supportive, so that was nice. And then I needed to tell one of my friends that I was very close to, because I knew she was homophobic, but I knew I couldn't have a friend who was homophobic, obviously, because I thought, yeah, if you knew the truth, you wouldn't want to be friends with me, and I don't want to be friends with someone who, if they knew who I was, they wouldn't want to be friends with me. That just, yeah. So I was very nervous. I invited her to hang out, and it was her and her boyfriend. Don't know why I didn't decide to do this when she was on her own, but her boyfriend was there as well, which was fun, extra to the story. Yeah. It's getting pretty warm now, my tea. Need to down it. This mug is so big. I haven't gotten through most of my tea yet. So, I needed to tell my friend that I might be a lesbian. Well, at this point I thought I was certain I was a lesbian, so I figured it was time to break the news. And so, me, her, and her boyfriend, we were down by the promenade. I think it was quite a stormy day, a stormy night. We went on the night time. And I remember I said, I have to tell you something. You're not going to like it. But I had this experience with a girl. And I found it difficult to tell her because I wanted to tell her. And I knew she wouldn't believe me unless we had done more than kissing, because she was someone who had experimented quite a bit. And I think at this point, even though she was 14, 15, I think she'd already had sex. She, no judgment, sorry, of course, but I guess it seems quite young. But I guess as long as you're safe about it, you shouldn't shame kids about having sex. As long as, people consent, if it's two kids having sex, otherwise adults, you have to be, otherwise you need two adults to consent. Duh. Anyway, so where was I? I wasn't sure how to tell her, and I knew she wouldn't believe me unless we'd done a lot, so I already realised when I started this conversation that I was going to have to lie to her, or not lie, but exaggerate or just be vague, something that implied that we'd done a lot for me to know I liked girls. So when we were talking about it and I said, yeah, something had happened at school, at boarding school, and I made up when I got with this girl. Now, got with is quite vague, so I figured it allowed room to imagine whatever she wanted to. And, oh, I need to burp again. Sorry, I can't help it. I have indigestion sometimes. I get gassy. And I have reflux problems. ASMR. Anyway, let's take this seriously. I'm a serious ASMR artist. No. But, so yeah, I said I got with this girl, and then she said, yeah, but are you certain? What did you guys do? But I knew when I looked at her, she kind of didn't want to know. So she wanted me to convince her, but also let it be minimum details kind of thing. So I just said, trust me, I know we did a lot, which wasn't true. We kissed, but I needed her to believe we did more than kissing, because she just wouldn't, she just wasn't going to buy that I knew that I liked girls from just kissing, but which, as an adult is total BS, because you can know at any point, you can know before getting with anyone whether you like boys or girls or whoever. You don't necessarily need to do anything to know you like someone or like a group of people and not like another group. But yes, it was a weird a weird night. And so I told her that, and she didn't know how to react. She was kind of, she said something along the lines of, oh, I want to leave right now, but I don't. She actually took it better than I thought. I assumed she would just not want to talk to me anymore and be like, we are done. We are not friends anymore. But she seemed more conflicted about it. And I think because whenever we talked about LGBT stuff, she always had certain stereotypes in her head of gay people or lesbians, you know, the whole stereotype stuff of gays being more feminine and flouncy or whatever. I mean, it's really bad stereotypes that I don't agree with, and even if you are like that, that's 100% fine. But that was kind of her view, and she didn't like that. And the same with lesbians, that more butch and manly kind of thing, stereotypically, I think, which again, I don't, you know, I know lesbians who aren't anything like that. And for me, I would say I think a good mixture of masculine and feminine. But yeah, I'm not a big fan of these stereotypes, but that was what she believed. Well, that was her idea when she thought about the LGBT community, is that everyone with these drastic stereotypes that she didn't like. And I think for her, it was the first time being confronted with someone that didn't conform 100% to those stereotypes, and someone she was close with. So it made it difficult for her to just say, no, I don't want to be friends, because she knew she liked me as a friend. But yeah, it was quite conflicting with her not being into, with being homophobic, bluntly put. But we stayed friends for a few months after that. It was a very strange friendship where eventually we stopped being friends because, kind of related to that, and relationship problems in general, and boyfriend problems. It was a big old mess. But what was I going to say? I do not remember. But yeah, she was a strange person. I mean, I know she was a kid, we were both kids, but it's the kind of thing where I wouldn't be surprised if she kind of believed the same stuff now. And I feel like she must have been influenced by her parents or something, because I can't really remember why she believed these things. So I feel like it must be the parents, because where else would she have learnt it? It's like most of the other people I knew didn't have anything against gay people. And we kind of had a sort of similar friendship group. But the main point to take away from this story, by the way, is that I lied to her about, or I don't know if I 100% lied, but I exaggerated and made it seem like I potentially even had sex with someone, with a girl, which I didn't. And that was something that, when it happened, I decided I'd have to lie to everyone else about it as well, because she was friends with the same people that I was friends with. We had similar friendship groups, so I decided it was best to lie to everyone, because if I told some people other things and some people, continued the lie with some people and not with others, I knew I was going to get caught out. So this is the first time I kind of, I don't like to lie to people. I think sometimes white lies are kind of fine to protect people, but this was the first time where I lied about something and it eventually kind of felt like my identity. It was such a strange thing, but this started, I think I lied to her when I was 14, 15, that was when we had this conversation, and I continued lying about it to everyone I met until I was around 21, 22 or something, where I eventually started telling people either that I was already friends with, oh, by the way, that was a lie, or with new people that I would just stop lying about it. But how weird is that? It got to a point where it didn't feel like a lie anymore. I told it so many times where it was like, oh, I got with a girl, I slept with a girl. Yeah, when I was 15. Because it felt so long ago, and I'd said it so many times. I think I didn't 100% convince myself it was true, but it was just so easy to say because I'd said it so many times, and then you start feeling like you did do it, even though I knew I didn't. I don't know if that makes any sense to anyone. Oh, plane. But yes, that was pretty bizarre. So that was my experience with coming out to one of my friends, but I had get this, I had several friends at the time. You wouldn't believe it because I was such a loser, but I had other people to come out to. And how many, I mean, to be honest, of close friends I had at the time, there was maybe 3 or 4 people basically to still come out to, and then there was just the rest of the school that eventually found out through all these antics that it came out because, you know, kids can't keep secrets, and yeah, news travels fast. But so I had to tell my other friends about it, and I think they were mostly fine. I had one of my friends, we used to catch up on the train, so I took her aside, and we would usually chat on the train, and I would sometimes take her away from the rest of the group to tell her secret stuff that was going on in my life. Because I kind of had this other life other things that I got up to that other people didn't know about, because I also had this other friendship group that no one else was connected with. This kind of drugs-based friendship group. Long story, I'm not involved with that kind of stuff, but back at the time it was more of an exciting time. I mean, it was basically, I say, drugs group. I mean, all I ever had was weed most of the time, but it was a weird time. But they didn't know about any of that stuff, so I would tell my friends kind of about all these other antics that I got up to, and it was exciting for them because it was, we were all kind of just nerdy people and a bit awkward, and I was kind of living the skins life, which seemed kind of cool. I was not cool, by the way, at all, but it just seemed like, oh, edgy with the drug group or something. But so I would take my friend aside and I would tell her all about like the other group stuff, things I got up to that she didn't know about. But this time it was to tell her about kissing this girl and I didn't know what to do, and that I felt pretty certain, I think, that I was a lesbian, and yeah, that was kind of it. And also at this time, by the way, I really liked one of my friends, not someone that I still talk to now, but it was someone else in the friendship group, and it was real sad because I liked her for the longest time, but I was like, I don't want to ever make her feel uncomfortable, so I'm not going to do anything. I remember us having sleepovers and it being so difficult because it was this is, remember, 14, 15-year-old me talking about another 14, 15-year-old. So me at the time, thought, oh, she looks amazing, she's so beautiful. When we were getting like changed, I wouldn't want to look or anything, but sometimes because the other person doesn't know and you just kind of getting changed in front of each other, and I just remember thinking, oh, she looks so good, this feels so wrong, and I was just kind of trying to ignore it and be like, yeah, nothing's gonna happen here. I did find out from the same friend I told on the train, eventually a few years later, it turned out that she kind of was curious about me, or maybe liked me. I mean, I don't think she was bisexual or lesbian or anything, but I think she was curious, and I thought, she knew that at that time that we both liked each other, and she didn't tell us. It's a wasted opportunity, guys. Anyway, what was I talking about? Telling my friends. So I told her, and I think I eventually told everyone else, and they were pretty chill about it. But at this point, I told them basically, I'm a lesbian. Yep. And they were all chill about it. And then there were a few awkward anecdotes where basically it was various sleepovers, and most of my friends knew, but 1 or 2 of them didn't know. And so sometimes they would say funny stuff where we would kind of do basically very lesbian things, like kissing each other, or I don't know, feeling each other up in the night and spooning and feeling each other's boobs, but it didn't really mean anything. I'm talking very casually about it, but obviously looking back, that was very weird. And you might think, oh, so were you, touching people up and loving it? No, actually, because they were my friends, so I wasn't attracted to them, besides the one friend, but I wasn't spooning her and feeling her boobs, so nothing weird went on. I wasn't there being like loving it. It was just, they were just my friends. I didn't see it as anything sexual, but even though it seems pretty weird, we were just feeling each other's boobs sometimes, or giving each other hickeys. See, this is the stuff that happens when you go to an all-girl or all-boys school. You end up experimenting and things get weird. It's actually quite funny looking back on it, but what was I going to say? Oh yeah, so at these sleepovers, there are a couple of times where someone might say, oh, it's a good thing that no one here is a lesbian. And one of them, I remember the awkward vibe in the room where I could tell no one was looking at me, but it was like they were. I could just feel the friends that knew that I did like girls. They didn't have a problem. Like, they knew I wasn't interested in them, so they never felt uncomfortable. But it was just funny when people would say stuff like that at the sleepovers, and I could feel from like corner of their eyes that they were all thinking, well, there's one in the room. She's right behind you. But yeah, that was sometimes where I just felt a little bit uncomfortable because, yeah, I didn't really know what to say. I wasn't going to just out myself. But yeah, it made me feel like I was doing something wrong when, yeah, I didn't fancy any of my friends. Yeah, no, I don't think I did. It was just, yeah, an age where you just did weird stuff. But at this point then, yeah, I'm convinced 100% lesbian, you know. I don't like dudes. So that's why I've been telling everyone. And then when I'm still friends, I was still friends with this girl who was homophobic, and not the one I made out with, my friend who we'd been friends for a while with. And we started hanging out. I was hanging out with her and her boyfriend one time, and this other guy, sorry, skipping ahead. There's one bit before this story. So, someone that I knew from the school I went to before, we started hanging out. It was this guy. And I don't really know. I thought we might make a good couple or something. But then I realized I liked girls, but he asked me out, I think. And then I said yes. So, I need to burp again. What's wrong with me? Sorry, I don't know why I'm so burpy today. Absolutely disgusting. What is this video? I don't know, guys. I'm a mess. But so, I don't know. I just remember he asked me out, I think, at a certain point, and we went on a date, even though I felt pretty certain I didn't like guys. I think this was a test, just to check whether I did or not. Eventually we kissed, and I don't think I felt anything, and at a certain point, I can't remember if it was the first date or maybe after maybe a couple dates or something, but I eventually said, yeah, I like girls, but we can still make out if you want. And he seemed pretty chill about that. He did not have a problem with me being a lesbian or thinking I was a lesbian. He was like, cool, no, yeah, let's still make out. He was pretty happy with that deal. So at this point, so then afterwards, okay, so I can't remember if I said, I was like, maybe it's just easier if I say we're boyfriend and girlfriend, even though I came out to other people as being a lesbian. I don't know what was going on, guys. I can't give you any good answers as to why I did any of this stuff. But, you know, I'm hoping you're finding these anecdotes to be funny and amusing, because I look back and I just think I have no idea why I did any of that stuff. But anyway, so I have this fake boyfriend now. And then I meet up with my friend, the homophobic friend, and her boyfriend. And then he brings someone else there, and we're hanging out at my place. And, you know, I think he's kind of cute. And I'm kind of intrigued, and we're hanging out, and we seem to be getting along. And I can't remember how this happened, but we decided we were going to hang out on Valentine's Day. So, you know, it felt like something was maybe implied, something might happen. But he knew from the boyfriend that I'd said I was a lesbian. So at this point, he believes that I'm a lesbian. But we're going on a date. Guys, I can't tell you why any of this stuff is happening and what was going on in my head. I want to give you more of a reason, but I can't. So we go back to my place after the date, and we end up making out. Complicated, I know, because I have a sort of... Actually, I don't think for a temporary period, I said this guy was my boyfriend, and then I think I told him, I was like, yeah, it's not going to work out. So I don't think I still had this other fake boyfriend, my beard. I don't think I still had him. But So I don't think there was any cheating going on, just to elaborate. But so I'm making out with this guy in the basement, and then I say, I don't think I'm a lesbian, because I was kind of enjoying the kiss, guys. It wasn't exhilarating as the first kiss, but it was definitely pretty exciting. And he said, nice, that's good to hear, or something like that. I think he was also shocked by the situation and didn't know what was going to happen. But yeah, pretty weird situation. And then, so this other guy that I went on a date with, the emo guy, the fake boyfriend, the beard. And I should probably give people fake names for these stories, but we're so far in this story, I'd have to give loads of people new names and identities. And but yeah, so the beard, as we'll refer to him, he messages me because he also knows this guy, and news travels fast, and he goes, oh, so you're bi with, so you're a lesbian with me but bi with him. And I thought, man, life's not fair. Sorry man, sorry beard, but life is not fair. And yeah, I could understand him being kind of frustrated by the situation. And when you're a kid, that you kind of think, oh wow, so you weren't interested in me, but now suddenly with him, you're now a different sexuality. And it's like, no, that's not really how it worked. It was just I didn't realize it. I thought, because I went on a date with a guy and I didn't enjoy it, and I kissed a girl and I really enjoyed it, that I didn't like guys. It just happened to be I wasn't kissing the right guy. And that's when I realized I was bisexual, kids. So finally, we've gotten to the point. It took a while. What are we, half an hour into this video or something? Lost track of time, 40 minutes? Half an hour? Don't know. But finally at this point, I've realized I'm bisexual. This made it quite confusing for other people because I told everyone that I was a lesbian, and one of my friends, the one I talked to on the train about stuff that I pull away to tell her all about my exciting things that I got to, when I told her, she came to me, and when I told her, oh yeah, so I'm bisexual, she had so much stress because she was recently just on a school trip thing with everyone else, and they'd all been asking about me and being like, oh yeah, AJ, is she a lesbian, what's going on, kind of thing. And she didn't know what to say because she didn't feel comfortable. She's also not somebody who gossips or anything, so she's a great friend, and I think it's so sweet that she wanted to protect me and that she didn't want to tell anyone else something that wasn't true. And she didn't know, but they kept asking, so eventually she said yes. Whoops. And then so she had so much stress, and she seemed like she was torn up about it, and I think I was pretty chill and I just said, it's fine, calm down, don't worry about it, it happens. And yeah, that was kind of my coming out story, and when I realized I was bisexual. And yeah, I'm trying to think afterwards. I mean, in my life I've mostly still dated guys because it's just easier, and when I say easier I just mean 90% of guys roughly are straight or are heterosexual, and so, in a smaller proportion are also bisexual. But yeah, and in comparison to females, where then 10% are bisexual or lesbians, it's a much smaller pool. So yeah, it just seems it's just easier to meet guys that are interested than to meet girls. And also, relationships with girls and dating, I found to be kind of tricky. It's kind of more stressful, and I'll admit, as a female, I think I'm quite picky when I'm dating. And, if you're on dating apps or anything like that, I think I'm usually quite picky with who I end up matching with and who I continue talking with. But also part of it's a security thing that I'm quite picky. But another reason is if I see people and I don't think they look genuine, someone who's kind of all their photos of them topless, that's not someone that I'm gonna talk to, because I think, okay, you seem to really love your body, but what else do you actually like? I'm not interested in someone who's shallow and just wants to flaunt their looks kind of thing. Don't get me wrong, it's great to be proud of your body. You should love your body. But when I see that kind of stuff, I don't tend to swipe for people that have shirtless photos on dating profiles, because I think they usually want something else, and that's not something I'm interested in. So there are certain things I see on profiles that just instantly, it's a no. And it's not necessarily, back when I was single, it wasn't that I needed it to go somewhere, but I just don't like the idea of meeting up with people who I think are just interested in a one-night stand. Even though, you know, I was happy to have a one-night stand at the time, I wasn't looking for any, I can't remember if I was looking for something, I don't know, I was open for a relationship to happen, but I wasn't actively looking for a relationship. It was like, if it happens, that's great. Otherwise, I'm also happy just to have a few nice dates and, yeah, some fun nights. And, you know, I had a couple of those. But yeah, I don't like, if you can tell from a profile that someone just wants a one-night stand, it's not very interesting. It's kind of, I like the idea it might go somewhere or it might not. And in that case, you know 100% it's not going to develop into anything. And I feel like there's a certain personality type that is only looking for one-night stands and isn't open to relationship, and I just don't think that's really a match. Not in my books. But anyway, yeah, being on profile sites, you know, comparing men and women kind of thing, it just seemed more, it was just usually easier with guys. I noticed they're less fussy, which is funny because I'm quite fussy when I'm on dating sites, but I think I noticed there were a lot more matches with guys. Well, yeah, obviously, because there's more straight males and bisexual males than lesbians and bisexual women, but I just felt like, yeah, it just felt more difficult with women. I can't really explain why, but it's just a lot more complications. Like after we went on dates, either I was also in a weird, I kind of had not a relationship, but I was kind of, friends with benefits type thing that I was going through when I was also dating. So that made it more complicated. Often with these girls, they also had kind of strange relationship dynamics like I did, like friends with benefits or other stuff that just made it complicated. It just wasn't meant to be. But obviously, if I'm single again in the future at any point, then I would go out with, you know, guys, girls, whoever. It wouldn't put me off going out with anyone. And to wrap up the video, I have a few extra little tidbits, but we're almost there, getting through the full story. But so after coming out as bisexual, I had a few questions from people. And I've also had it, I had it when I was a teenager, but also as an adult. Interesting questions that you think over time these questions would have changed, or that I'd stop getting ridiculous questions about being bisexual, but no. I still get these kind of questions sometimes, a little less now actually, but you know, even as an adult, I've gotten questions about this that I think, Jesus Christ, amazing. But I remember after coming out, one of my friends asking me, so if you're bisexual, does that mean you can have a boyfriend and a girlfriend? Now, as a teenager, I get why another teenager would ask this, you know, especially because 10 years ago, I think the information around the LGBT community and specifically about bisexuals, people didn't know that much. And this was very soon after the movie Dodgeball came out. And I don't know if you remember she was interested in that guy for the whole thing, and at the very end she was like, I'm not a lesbian, because she was kissing this other girl. And then she goes, I'm bisexual, and then makes out with him as well. So I think that's where people got this misconception around bisexuals, that we just have it off with anyone, that we're not satisfied in relationships, that we're more likely to cheat. These things aren't true. I think cheating is more of a personality thing than it is about a sexuality thing. And, you know, I'm not someone who does that. I think you should always just be honest in relationships, and yeah, if you have feelings for someone else, then you should just be honest about it. And yeah, I mean, if you want an open relationship and you want to have multiple partners and you want an open relationship, or you're polyamorous and you have feelings for multiple people at the same time, then that's just something that you should be open about with the people that you want relationships with. And that's kind of it. But yeah, I think people assumed that bisexuality was kind of synonymous with polyamory. But no, just because we are attracted to men and females doesn't mean we want to get it off with everyone. But I do like having more options when it comes to dating. I'm just saying. We do have more fun. But we're not all some stereotype and we don't all get it off with everyone. And what other questions have I gotten? Let me have a look at my list. Oh yeah, the other thing is when I've been dating either a guy or a girl, that people often say, oh, so you are a lesbian now? Or are you straight now? And this is another thing where it's because I'm not dating both, it makes it seem people trying to start thinking that I'm not that sexuality anymore, and it just doesn't make sense to me. It's I only date either one person at a time, and they often tend to be male or female. So I don't know what people want me to say. Yes, now I'm suddenly straight because I'm just with a guy. That's not how it works, okay? It's just I date one person at a time. And so if it's a guy or a girl, it doesn't change anything. I'm not suddenly, oh my god, and now I'm straight, and now I'm lesbian. That's not how sexuality works. I definitely think, over time you might realize something about your sexuality. You might have thought you were bisexual, you might have thought you were a lesbian, and then later you realize actually that wasn't the case. Or you might have thought for a long time that you were straight and realized at a certain point that that wasn't true in whatever age, teenager, adult, young adult, late adulthood, that you might realize this about yourself. But it's not because it's changed, it's more like a discovery about yourself, that you probably had these feelings all along, but just there wasn't the opportunity to explore these feelings, or just the right person didn't come along to spark these feelings, and only at a certain point you realized you had them. But also as an adult I've gotten that one quite a lot, and it's very annoying. Stop trying to tell me I'm straight now that I'm in a relationship with a guy. That's not how it works, and it can be quite frustrating. Yes. And so when it came to with my sexuality being an adult, I would say mostly feels pretty stable. I think sometimes I've had certain doubts at certain points where I thought, oh, I don't know if I feel the same way about girls anymore, or I don't know if I like guys anymore, and certain points where I thought I was a lesbian again because I hadn't had any strong feelings for guys for a few years, and it made me quite nervous about it. But I think I've always come back to the feeling that I like both. And I mean, maybe in the future I might realize, depending on my relationship now, I don't know if there'll be future relationships with other people. I like to just think about the relationship I have now and focus on that, but I'm also someone who's realistic. So but I think how I feel at the moment feels pretty stable, and I think I'll always consider myself bisexual, even if maybe I notice that I have stronger feelings for one or the other, or I realize I don't want a relationship with one or the other at a certain point, or I'm less interested. I don't think that would change my feelings about how I identify. But that was my coming out story, and multiple stories that were weird and unusual and pretty fun. I gotta admit, I think even though I was a weird kid and I did a lot of things where I think, I don't even know why I did any of that stuff, they make for great stories now. And I'm glad that I've been able to share those with you. And I'd like to know if you guys have any coming out stories, then feel free to leave that below. I mean, no one watches these videos, so I don't know if there'll be that many comments, but let me know if you have had any fun coming out stories. Leave it below. And thanks for watching. Bye.